Yeah, exactly.
A new life begins!
And the dogs are barking to kick off the show. So tonight we are here to review the TMNT Nightwatcher issue number 1.
The second ongoing IDW is doing.
Yeah, it's the second of 3 that are currently announced. I say currently because this is really what IDW has. So there's probably gonna be like 20 TMNT books.
If they did what they did last time, it's probably gonna be a bunch of minis.
Yeah, I could see that. And I still haven't sat down with the TMNT Saturday morning cartoon issue with Usagi, which is really disappointing. And we were just talking about Usagi earlier because, of course, the Usagi Power Rangers crossover is on the FOC this week. And we had the TMNT Power Rangers a couple of years ago that I thought was really good. So I definitely want to hop in on the Usagi. All right, well, we both read it, I think, this morning because we're slacking this week. We're getting a little behind. We had some stuff that we've had to do around the house this weekend. Had to tear down the hops, had to move a bunch of stuff away from the outside. House is getting painted this week. So I had to prep for that, which is taking away a little bit. Aside from that, I am dragging the copy of Hush that I have, the DC Compact, back and forth to work.
Reading through it.
Well, I didn't get a chance to read any of it today, but I wanted to just kind of put it through paces, right? Like what it's made for. It's made to be thrown in bags and taken, and how well is it going to hold up? Is it going to look like my copy of the Once and Future King by the time I'm done, dragging it back and forth? Or is it going to hold up and be in, somewhat decent condition? So I figure that's what it's for. I'm going to put it through its paces. But tonight we're here for the TMNT Nightwatcher number 1. And what Mutant Nation is the one we're waiting on.
That's next month, I think. That's the $6 one.
Okay. Yeah, so got that one coming up. So we'll have to see how that one is and how it ties in. And I think they're all supposed to tie into each other at some point. So hopefully it'll be worth reading and keeping and staying up on all 3 of them.
I'm assuming Nightwatcher and the mainline will probably cross over next year as the Turtles all come back to New York.
Yeah, Mutant Nation, I think, is supposed to be
it's an anthology series. The first story is like what
happened with Raph. Right?
I think it's like what he was doing in between the events of issue 150 and
number 1.
Because 150 doesn't really explain anything. It's very much a Donatello story.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll see how that one looks. Out of the 3, I think that's probably the one I'll drop, unless it's really engaging.
There's an old Hobbs story, but I'm kind of worried how, or like the Raph stories would be the more interesting of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna see how it is. I'm not saying I'm gonna drop it. I'm just saying, out of the 3 books, that's the one I'm most likely to drop. That was the one I wasn't excited about. Kind of getting it by default, so we'll see. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on it. Starting off,
should we reveal the identity? Not.
I think everybody knows, and if not, let's go ahead and put it up there. There will be spoilers in this. We cannot avoid that in the review. So if you haven't read it, you want to read it, stop now, and pick it back up after you read the issue.
Before we get into it, I guess just basic thoughts. I liked it. I think it's a pretty good first issue. I like the art, narration, dialogue was good. Nothing felt out of place.
No, I agree, and I'm going to go ahead and throw out the spoilers. When we first saw that this was coming out,
Mhm.
we talked about it and
Yeah.
had said it is most likely Jenica.
We came to that conclusion because it was like she was the only one that wasn't on the main cover. She was the only one that's not being talked about.
Yeah, and they had what we were saying in the beginning. They
Mhm.
had talked about these books crossing over,
Mhm.
and you can't cross over Nightwatcher with the story of the other four turtles
Mhm.
if Nightwatcher is one of the other four. So it had to be a different character. We did talk about, well, what if it was Casey Jones, but it, it
I,
just made sense that it was Jenica.
I I don't think Casey, because that would be a really big armor. That's very clearly a turtle.
No, the armor is very clearly turtle-esque.
Mhm.
Uh,
I don't know how a normal sized human would fit in there.
it's comics.
It's,
It's
Absolute
I
Batman is just.
I mean, I'm just saying it's comics, right? So we did have that discussion
Mhm.
that well, what if it's Casey Jones? Uh, but it made most sense that it was Jenica,
Mhm.
and I threw the spoiler out in the first place because you were talking about the dialogue.
Mhm.
When you first start reading the comic,
Mhm.
it's Jenica.
Yeah.
Like, if you had no idea, if this had come out first before any kind of announcement on the other books,
Mhm.
seeing the other four turtles in those books, you're still looking at it and saying, okay, it's got to be Jenica, right?
Yeah. Just
Um,
the way she acts, at least from what I've read, she's very much a smartass.
she absolutely is, and she speaks in that same way. So I'm really
Mhm.
glad that they didn't hold back on that, and they laid it out as Jenica from the start.
Mhm.
We knew that's what it was going to be. Um, and so moving into it, that's really where you were looking. And so by the time they actually show that it's Jenica, um, you already knew it. You already knew
Yeah.
that's who it was, even if you didn't know before you got into the book. Uh,
Um, Although it's kind of interesting there, it's just kind of done casually.
it is. It is.
It's not a big splash page where she's like holding the helmet.
Right. And I'm glad they did it that way. Just kind of hey, here's who it is. Uh, one of the things, as you were flipping through there,
Hmm.
um, one of the things I really liked about it
Hmm.
was because it's one event, right? But they keep interrupting the event with the
Hmm.
Night Watcher and this criminal with all the stories.
For what people think of the Night Watcher.
Right. It's just, you know, it's intermingled into this comic. And I really liked that it was done that way. And I liked the way
Hmm.
that they did that. I didn't feel like it took away from the story. I felt it added to the story.
Well, I feel like it also just I never felt that it interrupted what was happening. I never felt disinterested or wanting to go back to.
Yeah, I never skipped any of it. And that's what I mean. I don't feel like it interrupted it. I feel like it actually enhanced the story a little bit. It was kind of fun. Um, so the artwork, very TMNT.
Hmm.
I'm glad that they didn't go with a style that doesn't fit TMNT. What you would expect
Hmm.
for artwork in a TMNT book, and I'm really glad that they kept that. So artwork is a winner for me.
I think if I had to do just like any nitpick, it's like a really, really big nitpick. The guy's face still looks pretty normal when it probably feels like it should have been far blacker.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's TMNT.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying like what she's doing to him.
Right, like she pummels him, and then it's like he's not even got a bruise.
Yeah,
Uh, but again, that's TMNT. I mean, that's
you're probably not going to see his face just pancake.
right. So yes, I felt that it was it was very much what it was supposed to be in the book. I mean, you're not going to have magnificent artwork in a
Mhm.
TMNT book. That's not a cut on anybody that's done TMNT. It's not
Mhm.
a cut on this artist in particular. It's a compliment
Mhm.
that there's a style that's associated with TMNT, and I think if you get away from that, it it ruins the book.
Something that's kind of interesting is on the cover,
Mhm.
the red bits are like clearly indented into the armor.
Yes, and then when you look in the book, it's paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I did notice that when I was when I was reading it. But yeah, it's like Usagi. I love Usagi. There's an
Mhm.
art style with Usagi, and if somebody drew it differently than that, I feel like that would be detrimental to the book. And I feel that same way with TMNT. I expect a certain art style when you're reading a TMNT book. You know, it's a more simplistic, unrealistic
Yeah.
art style. But if you take it any other way,
Mhm.
it's a detriment to the book.
Yeah.
Definite kudos on the artwork. I think it was exactly spot on what it needed to be. The storyline I thought was really good.
Mhm. If you had any criticisms, what would you say?
I really don't. I mean, you can always criticize something if you look in far enough.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of times I'm very critical on these different books, but I take this one the same way I did Babs.
Mhm.
Right? I thought Babs was perfect. It was hilarious. It was exactly what I expected it to be. I feel like this is exactly what I expected it to be. It was a fun read.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to issue number 2.
For some reason, doesn't come out till October.
Well, I think the IDW is doing funky release schedules with all their TMNT books right now. I don't have any complaints on this book. It's exactly what I wanted, right?
Mhm.
I thought it was a good story. Thought the artwork fit exactly what it's supposed to fit for a TMNT book.
Mhm.
Enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next one.
Kind of happy they aren't doing like a Batman thing with her, where she's just very violent, very dark, very gloomy.
And I'm so glad that they did not drag it out.
Mhm.
The entire purpose.
I I wouldn't be surprised if issue 4 or 5 is when they finally have a cover with the mask off.
I I wouldn't be surprised if 3 has it.
3's been solicited.
Has it?
Yes.
I didn't think 3 had been thrown out there yet. Oh, it has. Okay. So yeah, 4 maybe.
Mhm.
But like the whole purpose to this issue was to show that Nightwatcher was Jenica.
Mhm.
That's what the purpose was from the very beginning of the book till you get to the end of it. I really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And you know, that's what comics are supposed to be. You're supposed to enjoy them and look forward to the next one. I enjoyed it, looking forward to the next one.
Mhm.
So all you can really say on this one is job well done. Uh, you know, it's exactly what we expected it to be, which is perfect,
Mhm.
right? Um, now you had posed question before we started recording,
Mhm.
and it was out of the 2 so far,
Mhm.
Nightwatcher and the mainline,
Mhm.
which number 2 are you looking more forward to?
Probably the main line
Why?
because it deals with the original 4.
I have to say the mainline as well. Uh,
I wouldn't say it's the only reason, but I think just the whole mystery as to why the turtles are separated is
that's
more
why.
interesting.
That's why. Because I'm curious why the 4 are split up and how they're going to get brought back together.
I'm assuming there's some type of animosity between all of them. Because I mean, Jenica doesn't speak on the other turtles. Her girlfriend is like, or she says, "Oh, I gave up the mask stuff."
Yeah, she does. She does say that. So I I think I'm interested in the second one here
Mhm.
to get a little bit more on that story, but I'm more anticipating the main line and not really issue 2 per
Mhm.
se on the main line. I'm I'm really looking forward to issue 5, right?
I'm assuming issue 5 will be the whole. Why are the turtles separated? Why are they?
I don't think it's going to be why they're separate. I think 5 is going to be the bringing back because issue 1 ended
Mhm.
and he was going to look for his brothers.
If it's gonna do what I think it is, they might do like a at the end of issue 2, Raph finds Mikey. They join up together. Issue 3, mostly Leo. Last 1-2 pages, Raph and Mikey, and then 4, 3 of them, and 5 are finally united.
So I'm looking forward to 5 because I want all 4 of them back together. But I am interested in seeing the story of each one of the turtles and what's bringing them back together. I think Mutant Nation is going to end up being the tale of why they're apart right now.
I don't think it will because it feels, I don't know, a little disingenuous to go, here's the turtle separated. But if you want to find out, read the $6 book, not the mainline.
Yeah, money. I mean, that's, you know.
I know, but it's
No, I agree, but that would be the perfect reason to do it in that storyline, right? Because then you can put it out there. If you're curious as to why they were separated in the first place, this tells that story, and that's going to bring a lot of people in. I mean, that's marketing, right? I think it's if they go that route with the future issues, then I would have to say that's brilliant marketing on the part of IDW. That you're going to have 3 series that all 3 of them have a purpose, as opposed to, hey, let's put out 10 different TMNT books, but the main line is really the only one that has a purpose.
They'll just do a miniseries instead that's like why they're separated.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with the mainline story. That would be brilliant marketing to turn it into 3 separate books that all 3 have a purpose. And honestly, you could enjoy any one of the 3 on its own, right? You don't have to read all 3, but if you want the whole story, then you read all 3. Which for people like me, I want the whole story. I'm willing to purchase all 3 books to get the whole story. But I think it would be brilliant marketing for IDW to say, here's three books. They all have a purpose. You can read any one on its own, or you can read all 3 and get the whole story. Not that that's what they're putting out. I'm just saying.
It'll be interesting.
It will.
Although I think they're doing with all the TMNT books. I think they're releasing the first issue, taking a month off, and releasing it the next month.
Yes.
Because Mutant Mayhem, the first issue comes out in September. Nothing is solicited for October, so I think issue 2 will probably be November, and then it'll continue on and on and on.
Which, I mean, again, that wouldn't be bad either because the TMNT came out July.
I just kind of worry about the longevity of it because you could forget when it's coming out or that it is coming out.
Yeah. They're taking a risk, but eventually they could turn it into you get a TMNT 1 week, you get a Nightwatcher 1 week, you get a Mutant Nation 1 week.
That's probably what they're doing. I can actually check that.
So, but it looks like right now they're doing the every other month thing.
At least for the first issue.
Yeah. So back to Nightwatcher. Recommend, not recommend?
I'd say recommend.
Okay. What we'll do moving forward, we're going to have to sit down and come up with how we rate things, right?
I've always preferred stuff out of 10 than 5. Makes sense?
Okay. So this is what we'll do though. We'll take categories. Okay. We can go with cover art as long as it's a cover A. It's the only one that's allowed. No variant covers are allowed. You can only judge the cover off of cover A.
Because that's the one Marvel or IDW think best represents.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's just that this is your base cover, right?
They still have to approve the cover.
Well, yes,
unless it's.
But I'm saying you have all these variant covers, but if you want a variant, you pull the variant, right? You tell them separately, I want this cover instead of this cover, right? So will only allow the rating for the A cover.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a book that neither one of us get the A cover on,
Mm-hmm.
then we'll find the A cover and view it there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll rate the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other category will be the art, interior art, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go with how much you enjoyed the book,
Mm-hmm.
and then your anticipation. Okay, so that's 5 categories. So we'll assign 2 stars to each one of the categories,
Okay.
and you add them up, and that gives you your 10 Timmys.
Okay.
So we'll start doing that on the one that we review each week. That way we have a rating,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can sit down and figure it out because I'm not going to figure it out on the show. Uh, where that line is, where we say it's a recommend, and where the line is for not recommend, and where it is for a coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sound like a workable plan?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll do that moving forward. I know we've covered a lot in what was supposed to be just a simple review, but we're gonna end it here. I've got some editing to do, and we got some other stuff to try to get done this week. I still have puppy training this week. Work, as always. You have school
And work.
and work, as always. Um, but this has been fun, and we will catch up with everybody again on Sunday.
Yep.
If I can get episode 3 finished and published. But before then, we may have a little bit of a surprise on Sunday. I'm still waiting to find out. So we'll see. Hopefully it'll all work out and we'll have it. But we hope to see everybody there. Come join
Mm-hmm.
Timmy's entourage as we journey to Ragnarok.